if you are still locked into that blue pill mentality, especially at crucial moments in your life when you're young and maybe you're sort of like Will Smith was coming up at that point, right? He wasn't the Will Smith that we knew from the 90s anyways, but it's certainly not the Will Smith we know now. The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air was not the same guy who was in like Independence Day, who is not the same guy who was in, Ali, who is not in the same guy who is, who we're looking at right now. And if you notice the, I hate to even put this back up there, but I'm going to throw this up really quick. If you notice that, that shot of him with his gut kind of hanging out. Now I know he did this on purpose. I understand. People criticized me for this the last time I threw that up there, but he's got a documentary coming out, of course. And he's talking about how he contemplated suicide. And there's other things going on in there, but I think what's important to remember in all of this is that if you don't kill the beta will kill you. Kill the beta before the beta kills you. That's straight out of my first book. And people always say, well, it's not life or death, man. It's just red pill. It's just, you're just a pickup artist. You're just a dating coach, blah, blah, blah. No. It is. In some cases, it literally is a matter of life or death. And I think what's happening right now is really kind of tragic for a guy like Will Smith, who seems like, pretty extroverted, pretty happy-go-lucky kind of guy, or has been for a while. And I think that when we first saw that first, the one what I led off with here, from last year, that Red Table Talk, you're looking at Will Smith in a completely different light now. And yes, I understand. People say, oh, he's gay, or he's banging Margot Robbie or whatever. Okay, fine. Got it. Can you blame him? Really, at this stage, can you blame him? Now, what I wanted to point out here as well is that now suddenly they have an open marriage. That wasn't the case before, because if it had been the case, then there wouldn't have been any need to explain why Jada was knocking it out with August Alsina. That was a overstepping the boundaries, right? That's what that whole thing was. That's what that whole episode was, right? But now, so unless they started having an open relationship in the last year, doesn't sound like it. But it doesn't sound like things have really worked out for Will. It doesn't sound like the open relationship thing is working, assuming that that's what they had. Now, also, they've been married for 25 years. When they met, she was 22 years old. She is at the height of her sexual market value, let's just say. And yes, she's never been really anything more than a B, maybe a C-list actress. She hasn't done much. Yes, she was in the Matrix movies. Okay, she was Niobe or whatever. And I know she's done some other stuff, but really she doesn't hold a candle to Will Smith, and she knows this. And so now that she's sort of entering into menopause, let's throw that one out there as well, because she is 49 years old. If she's not in menopause right now, she's certainly perimenopausal, or if not, like sort of full-blown menopausal. So now what I believe is happening with Jada is she's looking back on the life that could have been, the one that got away, Tupac. Certainly she enjoyed her time with August, as we can see from the first video. To the point where she's got to come up with some sort of cutesy, clever way to get out of what looks like an indiscretion anyways. It's Will Smith. You don't cheat on Will Smith. I mean, from a celebrity perspective, that's not what you're supposed to do. Will Smith's Will Smith. Who could possibly cheat on Will Smith? MGTOWs and Black Pill. Yes, I know what you're going to say. Oh, well, if it can't work for him, then how can it possibly work for me? Got it. We covered that last year. Thank you very much. That's how long we've been doing this. But yeah, and I get it. I understand why you would say that, because here you have a celebrity. Will Smith has been in really good shape. Let's call it what it is. I mean, he's a good. He has been a good-looking guy. I don't know about now. Maybe he is. Maybe he isn't. But that doesn't matter. That makes no difference. And I think when guys say, "Oh, it's all about looks," it's all about yeah, up until the point where your mindset sort of betrays your looks. When you want to talk about incongruency, that's incongruent right there. People always ask me about that. What do you mean by incongruent? That. Exhibit A. You've got a guy who is a celebrity, very rich, has been very good looking, still is pretty good looking, I think. I mean, it's ladies, you can tell me if you think so. Has pretty much everything going for him. Even you could even make the same case with what's his name? Trying to think of the guy's name now. Anthony Bourdain. You can make the same case with Anthony Bourdain, right? Good looking guy, has a lot of money, had a lot of things going for him. Why on earth would he want to off himself? Why on earth would he, who could possibly think of, offing themselves when they have everything going for them? Well, because the software is corrupted. That's why. And here we have Will Smith in 2021 dealing with this red table thing. I'm going to throw the rest of it out here in just a second. Still dealing with this. And I think what we need, Jada is most definitely a hyena. Yes, thank you for that, Ryu. And if you don't know what a hyena is, it's like the high testosterone woman. She's definitely that. Certainly in menopause, I would say she is. And also remember, there's a lot of physical stuff that's going on with her as well. Now, I hate to you don't get a complete picture unless I talk about this as well. And if you don't look at, like, say, Willow and what's the other son? I can't remember. But if you look at her sort of transgender son as well, that sort of plays into this as well. Like, what happened along the way. And I think a lot of Will himself likes to make his own rationalizations for the state of where his life is right now. And I see a lot of guys, of course, they follow the TMZ thing. They follow the, just sort of the paparazzi stuff. It's easy to laugh at. Yeah, Jaden, thank you. It's easy to laugh at, but I don't want to laugh at that, because when I look at stuff like this, I have dealt, and I still am dealing with guys who are in their 70s in some cases, and they're looking back on a life that was the product of a blue pill mindset, of blue pill thinking, never being unplugged. And there are some guys you're simply not going to unplug. There's a clip or a segment in the original Matrix movie where Morpheus is apologizing to Neo and saying, "I apologize for, unplugging you. We usually don't unplug minds after a certain age because the mind has difficulty so letting go of the old life." And I didn't really appreciate that scene in the Matrix until I started dealing with guys who are 60, 65, 70 years old who'd read my book, and they were looking back on what it is that they did with their lives. And they're like, "Oh my God, I'm where I'm at right now because I didn't, where were you 20 years ago, Rolo? Where were you 30 years ago? Where were you when I needed you?" And I understand that. And it's really difficult. You want to know why it's really difficult to sort of unplug guys who are sort of well off blue pill guys? I've mentioned this usually when I'm talking about, like, say, somebody like Jeff Bezos or guys who are high profile, very rich men. Elon Musk, a perfect example. Very rich guys who seem to have done a lot for themselves, have achieved a lot. They've got, they're leaders of industry in some cases. And they are examples of probably the worst blue pill, beta chump that you'll ever meet, because they've been insulated from it. They never had to think about these things, probably until the first divorce, right? And even then, they're still crying and emotional and just like agonizing over, their divorce or their wife or the one that they thought that they were going to be with for the rest of their lives, or agonizing over that because they never unplugged, because they never got out of the matrix, because they never really had women's nature presented to them. And when we look statistically at men and women when it comes to remarriage, men far outstrip women when it comes to remarriage. Now, a lot of people will say, well, that's because, women can't really find a mate after a certain age. And yeah, that definitely plays into it. But it's also, you're looking at guys who have been raked over the coals in a divorce, or they were just hammered flat by girls their whole life, and they found the one and they thought that was going to be it for them. And they really kind of like operate from within a blue pill paradigm really for most of their lives, up until the point where that's dispelled for them. And that's why it's really jarring. And that's really, we don't unplug a mind after a certain time. We don't have that luxury here in the real world. Roll Tomasi doesn't have that luxury, because I have guys hit me up all the time. In fact, I maybe I'm wrong in this, but I'm just going to spit it out here. Is I think that maybe me in particular, maybe Aaron Clary as well, but we deal with guys who are much older. My primary demographic, at least according to YouTube, is concerned is I'm in the 25 to like 35, 40-year-old demo. And then, but I have a substantial proportion of my audience is also over, like they're like 40 to like 65 as well. And these are guys that I talk to and I've done counseling with as well. And they look back on their lives and they go, oh my God, I would have done things different if I'd only known. If I could have chosen something, a different path as a result of my, instead of doing what my blue pill training or conditioning had taught me to do, I would be living a different life. I think Will Smith is in that boat right now. Demographically speaking, remember this, is that we always talk about how the suicide rates of men is between, depending on whose numbers you use, let me put that caveat out there, depending on whose numbers you use, men tend to kill themselves 3.5 to 5 times more than women do. Successfully complete that. Killing, suicide, self-deletion, let's just say. And you have Will Smith, who is right smack in the middle of that demographic right now. And it doesn't matter that he has everything going for him. Didn't matter for Anthony Bourdain. It doesn't matter for a lot of guys who happen to be affluent or famous or have a lot of, maybe even still pretty good looking, depending on what the really ridiculously good looking, right? They have a lot going for them. And yet they still off themselves. Oh God. I remember when Chris Cornell from Soundgarden offed himself, and I was just like, oh God, please. I loved Soundgarden. I love Chris Cornell as a songwriter and a singer as well. And I was just floored when that happened. And yes, I know about I forget who's the guy from Linkin Park. Somebody will come up with the name. It's escaping me. Sorry, I blocked on that. Also that guy, there's guys who have like a drug problem. I get it. They off themselves that way. But also it's like you have guys who have a lot going for them and they're not where they want to be. They're zeroed out in a way. You say, oh, but poor rich guy. Oh, well, but yeah, but let's look at the dynamic there. You can say what, whether it's justice or it's not just, that's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is why does that occur to a guy? And here you had in the recent, well, actually his documentary is, I guess, his biography of Will Smith. He's talking about the same thing. And that's what I started doing all this stuff for, right? To keep the gun out of the guy's mouth, to keep the noose off of your neck. And so when I'm listening to this, I'm watching this, it's really easy to jump into TMZ mode. It's real easy to go, look, oh man, and I'm guilty, you got me. Will's cooked. Ha ha ha. Yeah, we got you to look, didn't it? Well, here you are. Here's your steak with your sizzle. It's not a laughing matter, man. It's not a laughing matter. And again, I know it sounds like a red pill jingoism or whatever, but kill the beta before it kills you. And when I made the prediction, I still think this is going to happen, but I made the prediction that if Prince Harry doesn't sort of extricate himself from that, oh, hi, PP. PP, yes, there you go. Thank you very much. Oh, you get one of these here. Thank you for the trick or treat money. But when we're talking about, guys who are sort of contemplating their lives, I mean, Will Smith's done a lot of stuff, and he's just one example of many. But when I say, kill the beta before you kill yourself or before it kills you, that's not just like some pithy little thing I just pulled out of my ass and threw in the Rational Mail. That's from years of seeing stuff just like this. That's from years from doing was it peer counseling? Even when I was in college, man, I had to go talk to the guys nobody else wanted to talk to. It's sexy to go and do psychology, and you're talking to young co-eds and stuff like that, and you want to do these experiments and this research stuff. It's another thing when you have to do sort of peer counseling or peer work for just a base, Psych 101. And nobody wants to talk to the guys who are between 50 and 65 years old, who have some real, they got some real shit going for them too. And so those were the guys I actually started with. That was one of the reasons why I wanted to double major, is because of that. And I was like, who's talking to these guys? Who's helping these guys out? And of course I have a history with that, as you all know. And yes, I will get to super chats here. I'll try to catch up here in just a second. I do want to get to the rest of these other videos that's going on today, but I needed to preface again all of this stuff because I'm not trying to make this a laughing matter or a TMZ or like, oh, look, that's not me. Look, it's Will Smith. And yeah, now everybody wants to pile on. I think what's funny is like this time last year, I didn't see too many people doing this. I mean, there was a few. I think Lucario did some, and some other guys were doing stuff. I mean, I'm sure Donovan did a show on last year on the first round, Red Table Talk. But I just don't think we're going deep enough with this. And that's what I wanted to talk about today is I think we need to go a little bit deeper here. There's a lot going on, as I mentioned before last year. I think the alpha widow dynamic is certainly playing into all of this with Jada. Also, this is about the time that I would expect her to be having these sort of feelings, right? It's all about healing. I wanted to feel good. It's been so long since I felt good. When did you feel good? When I was 22, before I met you. That's some heavy shit, man. It's like, it's been so long since I'm your husband and I can't make you feel good. Well, then you got the excuses, from Will saying, well, it's up to me to make me happy and it's up to you to make you happy. Well, if that's the case, then August Alsina is going to make her happy. And that's going to be an entanglement. And of course, yes, I understand, like every girl, every chick online, every TikTok dot used an entanglement as sort of their cover language, right? Their secret language. Oh, it's an entanglement. It's complicated. My entanglement is complicated. Thank you very much. Let me see if I can catch up with some of these. You guys are like crazy already with these. And thank you, because I can guarantee you this is probably going to get demonetized. KNE says, hey Rolo, do you plan to do an episode with Poor Man Podcast? I don't know. I haven't heard anything from him. I only used one of his videos at one time. And I like that video. I mean, if he got in touch with me, I might consider it. So